Are you ready? Okay. Let's welcome the presenter with a big hand. All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. My name is Wonil Choi from Seoul University. I'm a PhD student. This is a very meaningful moment for me because since 2013, I've been working for the Korea Sports Promotion Foundation, which is built for commemorating 1988 Olympics. So it's very meaningful to me. And at the same time, this is my first conference presentation in my life. So, making presentation in front of right before the invited speaker is not a good signal, but I'm gonna do my best. Today, I'm gonna talk about the cultural memory of 1980 Seoul Olympic Games and its influence on Olympic image and support for future hosting. This is the plan and process of my presentation. So, because my research is about Olympic and its legacy, let me start by talking about which legacy means. So, Olympic legacy includes the long-term benefit that Olympic Games create for the host city and its people and Olympic movement before, during, and long after the Olympic Games. As we know, the Olympic Game is the largest and one of the most important sporting events in the world, and it's not only huge in sports, but also really one of the most significant events of any kind with massive budget and global attention. As you can see, this a report from the S&P Global. It shows that average we need $13 billion to host this global event. So it's huge. So the game lasts only a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks. But how about the legacy that can last for decades, centuries, and in some cases it did last forever. So in fact, you could say the Olympics are really all about the legacy. So in Olympic Charter, it is set out the rules and standards of the IOC, and that it says that creating and sustaining a positive legacy is part of the mission of IOC. The IOC, they make a plan, the legacy strategy approach. So this shows how they think it is important. So in the past, most of the focus was on hard legacy, like facilities, stadium infrastructure, something like that. But since 2000, there's been more research on intangible legacies, things like culture, memory, and identity. On the left side, you can see 7 types of legacy that IOC described. And one of the researchers is Hugo Preuss, who proposed a framework that divides legacy into tangible versus intangible, planned and unplanned, and positive versus negative. So for my study, I decided to focus on the intangible legacy because intangible legacy often spread more widely and lasts longer than physical ones. So, so why this research is necessary? Even though intangible legacies are increasingly recognized, most of discussion have been abstract idea like national prestige or cultural development. So I felt we also know we have to look something more personal memories and perception. My purpose of my research is to conceptualize the long-term collective memory and distinctive form of intangible legacy. And second is to investigate how the cultural memory of the 1988 Seoul Olympic influenced the Olympic image and support for the future hosting. So why this is important for us? By applying Jan Assmann's cultural memory theory, we can find some insight that may help Olympic bid strategy and legacy management. And this topic I think is timely and relevant for Korea because our country is now seeking to host another Summer Olympics. So I think it's significant research for us right now. So let's move on to the theoretical background. In social science area, memory is not just holding on the past. It shapes how we understand the present and imagine the future. So it also influences our attitude, values, and behavior. In the past, memories of big events spread slowly through oral tradition, print, or broadcasting media. But today, memories spread instantly and through social media like YouTube or digital archives. So this kind of environment make memory more powerful than ever. For example, like Gutenberg, the movable type, made the book and knowledge is more important. Like so, social, the change in social network business, so it can make the memory more powerful thing. So this is Jan Assmann and Aleida Assmann. They are couple. He argues that cultural memory is built and sustained through 4 dimensions, like symbols, narrative, group, ritual, and institution. And these keep influence and identify behavior long after origin event. So let's briefly talk about the type of legacy, so type of memory. Symbolic is more conveyed through symbols, icons, and image. Narrative is transmitted through stories and shared accounts of games. Ritual is sustained through commemoration, ceremonies, and repeated practice. And institutional preserved through organization, education, and official institution. So cultural memory is a collective long-term form of memory. It's linked to positive values such as peace, harmony, and fairness. So in this way, it reinforces the Olympic image, and this positive perception of games lead to the supportive attitude toward hosting for future events. So based on the previous studies showing that the individual with Olympic experience demonstrate higher support for hosting than those who without such experience. So this study hypothesis that support for future Olympic hosting will be higher among those with prior experience. Based on this, I built my hypothesis. I assume that the 4 types of cultural memory, symbolic, narrative, ritual, and institutional, would all help create a positive image. And I expected that positive image would then lead a stronger support for future Olympic. And Kaplanidou research has already shown that image matters for support. So I also wanted to see if people's prior Olympic experience would moderate this effect. This is methodology. This study employed a survey of Korean respondents to examine how 4 dimensions of cultural memory influence Olympic image and support for future hosting using structured equational model. And the sample size is 220, and the Korean age from 19 to 76, male was 150 and female was 105. I was conducted this survey online with 5-point Likert scale, and I asked them this kind of question, like symbolic, see the Olympic links or emotion arising or a mascot, and I asked something like that. And narrative is I recall having meaningful conversation with my family or friends about Olympic. Ritual is I remember participating in attending commemorative events or related to the Seoul Olympic. Institutional, I remember learning about the 1980 Seoul Olympic in school or textbook. And I asked about the Olympic image with the symbol of peace and harmony, shaping the image of nation and demonstrate fairness. So the analysis steps. First, I did exploratory factor analysis and confirmative factor analysis, and then structured occasion model, and lastly, multi-group CM. The survey was conducted on a balanced sample. Both exploratory and confirmatory factor analysis were used to access the measurement model. And the CFA results show that standardized loading, reliability, and overall fit indicate. So I think it's over the standard. But here's the thing that I based on the previous study and Asman's cultural memory theory. 4 important independent variables were initially identified, but exploratory vector analysis revealed high multicollinearity between the symbol and narrative, so I reduced them to 3. As you can see, there's a high multicollinearity, so I delete it. And this is the result. The institutional memory had strongest effect on Olympic image. And symbolic memory also had a positive effect, significant at the 0.01 level. Ritual memory was smaller, but still significant at 0.225. Olympic image strongly predicted the support for future hosting. And I tested it, but cultural memory doesn't directly shape the support. So instead, it works through the Olympic image.
1 million.
So conclusion, thus cultural memory of the 1988 Seoul Olympics still matters, even though symbolic, ritual, and institutional memory strengthen how people see the Olympic. And this positive image then drive a support for hosting the game. So implication, there are 2 key points. First, cultural memory itself should have been as a strategic intangible legacy. Symbols, ritual, and especially the institution can sustain positive image of the Olympic. And those images are strengthened public support. Second, by bringing Asman's cultural theory into Olympic legacy, we expand the conversation beyond just building or economic. So memory is long-term resource. It helps reinforce identity, engage the public, and guide policymakers in creating sustainable Olympic legacy. So let me end with a quote from Elie Wiesel, the Nobel Prize laureate. Without memory, there is no culture. Without memory, there will be no civilization, no society, no future. And for today's conference, I would like to say no memory, there is no more Olympic. So thank you very much.